Persona is a 1966 Swedish psychological drama film written and directed by Ingmar Bergman and starring Bibi Andersson and Liv Ullmann. The story revolves around a young nurse named Alma and her patient, well-known stage actress Elizabeth Vogler, who has suddenly stopped speaking. They move to a cottage where Alma cares for Elizabeth, confides in her, and begins having trouble distinguishing herself from her patient. According to Jungian philosophy, if there is a huge gap between a person's ideal self and real self, visually stunning and displaying more intense close-ups than probably any other film we've seen. If Hollywood made sure you could enter the world of a film through a metaphoric window or door, a kind of mask, the film was designed on the one hand to celebrated Swedish cinematography, and on the other to conceal the true nature. Persona is a work of technical mastery, while Anderson and Ullmann delivered, especially when it came to deciding what was the degree of critics claiming the film rested on their inspired shoulders, or even merely a Persona is still a delight to watch, a visionary, almost influential, highly contemplative, relishing art that hasn't aged a day. We can never be quite certain if what we see has actually happened, and if so, why and to what narrative purpose.
Describe what we're doing here. What's this project all about?
Alright, so as far as I know what we're doing, I'm going to be watching a movie called Persona that I don't know anything about, and we're going to watch it multiple different times in multiple different environments. What I value most in a movie is its rewatchability. If the cinematography is the most gorgeous thing ever, if it has the best soundtrack ever made, but it's boring, like if I don't care about the characters, if I don't care about what's going on, if it's boring, I'd rather watch the worst movie ever made that's hilarious and more engaging than a boring movie.
So Persona is one of my favorite movies of all time. I've seen it I think 3 times, and it's been in my top 10 since I first watched it. I think when I first watched it I was like, oh, that's so cool. You know, I think the first time you watch a lot of movies that are sort of like this, it's very like, you're just blown away by the aesthetics of it. And as I've watched it more times, it's been a lot more like, oh, like, I really like what this movie is saying. So Cade, what we're gonna be doing for this one is we're just gonna leave, and you're just gonna watch the movie the way you would watch any other movie, hopefully.
Alright.
Alright, that's the shot. So, big question. Did you like the movie?
Alright. I liked the movie, but I don't know if I liked watching the movie. It is gorgeous. Like, the shot composition, the acting, the monologues. Like, I was encapsulated by the filmmaking, but the vibe of the film was so unsettling and slow, and I didn't know what was going on, so that just added to the frustration. But I immediately wanted to watch it again. I'm wondering, because I do think that she's one person. I think that Alma and Elizabeth are one person, but I think Elizabeth is the original, I guess, and I feel like other people would interpret it the other way, since Alma is the protagonist.
In one word, what is Persona about?
In one word?
I think it went really well. Cade seemed to like the movie, at least. You know, my dreams of him being like, this is the greatest movie ever made, or something, did not come true.
Okay, and what is your strategy for round 2?
So for round 2, I'm gonna be watching the movie with him. I'm trying to get in his head a little bit. I'm trying to get him to think about the themes of the movie and sort of apply them to himself. Because it's really easy to watch this movie and just be like, okay, well, you know, how do I deconstruct this? But it's also like this really personal thing that I think you can relate to if you try. So I'm trying to get at that a little bit. And final thing before we watch the movie, introduce yourself.
I'm Cade Harrison. I am a filmmaker, and Yeah, I'm a filmmaker. I mentioned that last time, that's what I like to do. But I also just like to take life one step at a time. Like I'm not really, like I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this.
Okay. And now I just want to just get a little B-roll just of this shot. So
Okay.
if you can just hold that pose for a little while.
Cool.
Sound speed.
Was that a dick?
It was.
I noticed that last time.
Did you like it more? Did you like it
I
less?
liked it more.
You liked it more?
Yeah, I definitely liked it more. I think it's because the first time I think I was like, how's it gonna end? How's it gonna end? How's this gonna end? Where are we going? And that's all I could really think of. But I didn't have to worry about that this time. Like this watch, I was really focused on the performances. Both actresses, like, they're fantastic, and we kind of picked up on this at the very end. But it really makes you see them as the same person. It's like anytime I think of one of these actors, I'll think about the other one also because of this movie, and that's like how good they are. I remember when just you and I watched it together, it was interesting getting someone else's opinion and kind of like changing my opinion, not necessarily agreeing with your opinion, but changing my opinion based on your opinion. And now that there's going to be a lot more people, it's going to be interesting how that formulates like by the end.
Okay, and finally, I have something to tell you.
Okay.
So I'm gonna interview Aiden and Abby, right after we do this shot. After the movie, I'm gonna interview you.
Okay.
You are going to interview me, Aiden, and Abby. It's your job to come up with the questions and what you want us to talk about.
Okay.
So you'll have the movie to think about that, what you want to ask us. You're going to be running those interviews.
Okay, perfect.
I don't know. I'm excited to rewatch it tonight because I really haven't seen it in a while, and I'm curious to see how I would feel about it now that I'm sort of more mature in my movie watching than I was my freshman year.
I feel like I've heard the Persona thing before quite a bit. Like I feel like I know the movie pretty decently, so I don't know. I honestly don't know if I'll get anything more out of it.
Jag kände det som jag aldrig har känt i hela mitt liv, hur han sprutar sed in i mig.
She's like, okay.
Han höll mig om axlarna och böjde sig bakåt.
No, this is exactly what girl sleepovers are like. She's digging it.
She is digging it, actually.
That's what this movie is about, a girl sleepover.
So what was your favorite part of the movie?
I mean, I liked the scenes without much dialogue where they were just doing weird shit at night and like merging with each other. Like when Alma was sleeping and then Elizabeth was just walking around like and stuff. I thought that was cool. I like that stuff.
I like Alma's big long monologue where she's just like trauma dumping, just because I think it's interesting to see both like how she talks and speaks during her monologue, but also seeing Elizabeth's reactions during her monologues, just like the, duality of like, the reactions where it's just complete silence and Alma just like taking up the whole space with her talking. I think it's very interesting.
This was easily my favorite time watching this movie. I think it's because the first two times I was like, oh, what does it mean? What does it mean? The point of me watching this movie is to figure out what it means. But this time, the point was just to enjoy the movie. I think if you look at a movie as just like a thing to be studied and analyzed, it kind of takes away from the artistic aspects.
This is, I think, my fifth time. And once you watch a movie that many times, you stop watching it in the same way that you used to be watching it. It kind of just becomes like, it's not a comfort movie in the sense that it's comforting, but it's a comfort movie in the sense that like I just know it very intimately. So it's kind of just, I can just watch it. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this one and this part. And yeah.
Right, and then my final question for you is, how do you think you've utilized Persona in your life?
How have I utilized Persona in my life? I have no idea.
Like, how do you think it's affected your life ever since you started watching this movie?
So what are we doing this time?
We are being inebriated. We are watching it drunk this time.
What do you think that's gonna be like?
I think you said something earlier that I found funny. That was like, we're gonna figure out the movie. Like every scene, we're gonna figure out what it's about. And I feel like it is gonna be like that. I feel like I'm just gonna make up stuff.
Wait, deadass, what if we watched it on 2 times?
Wait, can we actually? I would actually be so down to watch it on 2 times.
Like, literally, I think that would be good. It sucks that wasn't recorded, but we figured it out.
We figured out Persona.
It's about regret. It's a Christmas Carol.
She's not walking around her.
Last time it was a more warm color.
She's not walking around her room.
This
She's
black and
scouring.
white.
There's 2 times in the movie that she looks like David Bowie, and this is the first.
I spooked my tree.
What if we watch Barb Star right now?
Listen. I would watch Barb and Star right now, obviously.
Barbie
Because
Fairtopia.
Barb and Star Greta Vista Del Mar is like the greatest movie ever made. It's very similar to this.
Yo. I know that you probably wanted to do a 5th Persona this week, but I'm really busy, so I probably won't be able to do that, unfortunately. Sorry, Tim.
Why bother watching it without Cade?
I figured I wanted one more chance to watch it at the end, because I didn't feel like the 4th viewing was final.
What do you expect from the final viewing?
I don't know. I mean, I love it every time. I'm gonna love it again. I hope I can feel like I've conquered it a little bit, having seen it so many times and so many times in a row, and like watching it each time recently with like a really critical eye.
What's it about?
So, I think Persona is about depression. I think it's all about how there are 2 sides of you, and when you're feeling that way, you know, part of you, I guess the emotional true part, is like really closed
Persona
off
is about
and mute, like Elizabeth is in the movie.
The scene
and
where
unfeeling
like
just
the shot
rejects
you
everything,
created with them at the
decides to
table,
just totally retreat,
and they're talking
and there's
She
this other part of
goes- I
you
think
that
both
have
of
to
them
show
are
it
real.
to everyone else.
about how they're
And I think that because
at the hospital.
And Persona is all about
I don't know. I
guess,
feel like
someone
both are
climbing out
did
of
their
the
job there.
The
That
movie's
was the whole
actually
line.
complex
They come
And she was
of a
talking about
woman and a
admiring
person
someone.
sort of-
sees like
There
either
was
of
a
them's
lot of
imagination.
There was they talk
I guess
about
you could
Yeah.
either look at
Like-
it
they
as
talk about art quite a bit.
Actually,
I
you could
just
either
feel
look
like
at it
there's
as
so
climbing
much
out
more
of the
layers to them that
That's
the other
exactly
one
what I
doesn't
said.
understand.
Like,
That
I was
if
like,
it were like
but,
an
people have
imagination,
Legos
I don't know
possibilities.
if there.